The NBA trade deadline is one of the most exciting times for an NBA fan. Let's talk about some of these moves around the association that really stood out.
You know what? The first thing that stood out to me, I just want to say this: cash considerations and second round draft picks, the way these teams are throwing that around, I think right now that won the midseason trade. That I can say right now that is real clear. And what's so funny about these second round draft picks is that if a team acquired a second round draft pick, they actually gave it back to another team. I was like, oh, this lets
Yeah.
me know these second round draft picks ain't worth the paper they're printed on. I mean, it's just like that is huge for me. And I think that this midseason trade deadline also brought about teams wanting to clear their books. There was like, you know what, these veteran players, watch this. We first of all, you causing us to be in the luxury tax, and we don't want to do that no more. So we get ready to do the numbers, and you got to go. Just like
hmm
wow. So aside from all the players that were moved this midseason trade deadline, I think the teams were just saying let us reset our budget, and let's just get ready for the rest of the season and then how we're going to actually enter into the next season. That's one of the things that I captured from this midseason trade deadline.
The first one that stood out for me was Josh Hart to the New York Knicks. Oh my God. I love Josh Hart, and I love this trade. Pairing him with Jalen Brunson. Oh my goodness, college teammates, just the fun that they're going to have on that team. And Josh Hart adds another layer of toughness. He's all about that grungy defense, and he's going to fit in really well with Tom Thibodeau and Julius Randle. And oh my God, I am so excited about this. And I think he's familiar with that type of basketball. He's bounced around a bit in the league, as we know. This is his fourth team, right? Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
Pels, Portland, which
Blaze.
was a really
Mhm.
short stint, and now the New York Knicks. Happy for Josh Hart. What you think about that move?
Oh, I was stoked about that one. I said, yes, great move, great environment, and I think he'll be fine in New York. I had one surprise that kind of shook me a little bit, and it's not a big one and hasn't been talked about a lot. But Matisse Thybulle to the Blazers. I said, why would
Hmm.
the Sixers get rid of their strongest defender that they have on their roster? I was like, I know it was a quiet one. It wasn't, the most talked about. But when I saw Matisse Thybulle come through, I said, really? I
Hmm.
didn't expect them to trade that skill set. However, I do understand that he is limited when it comes to offense. So I think that who they acquired was Jalen McDaniels. I think that's his name, Jalen McDaniels, right? And so I think that what they needed was another big body presence, right? Because you can't expect PJ Tucker to always be big body, right? And I just think that it was something that they did need on their roster. But Matisse Thybulle was one that I was like, kind of hurt a little bit, but I do get the trade. But yeah,
Oh,
Matisse
okay.
Thybulle.
Yeah, that one didn't really move me at all because, like you mentioned, he doesn't give you much
Yeah.
offensively. And at this point of the season, I think the Sixers need a little bit more offensive presence outside of Joel and James Harden. Eek. All right, now my second one is Bones Highland to the Los Angeles Clippers. I love this trade. Primarily because I guess there are rumors swirling around that Bones and Coach Malone were not getting along. Bones is a little cocky little guard, and he's ready for the next stage of his career. Big fan of Bones since the time he was in Denver. He brings that tough mentality, almost like a dog mentality to the Clippers backcourt that they currently do not have. I
Mhm.
don't even think the Clippers have a traditional point guard at this point of the season,
No, they
right?
don't. They don't, and they'll probably be utilizing him and Terrence Mann to help fulfill those roles, and that's fine. They're young players, so Ty
Mm-hmm.
Lue has what he needs to help mold and build to what this is, and I'm okay with Bones Highland as well. I think that he'll be a great force off the bench. I believe that when we get down closer to the end of the season, we'll see more minutes coming from Bones Highland in the long run. I think he does add some he adds shooting most definitely. I know that the Clippers lost Luke Kennard, which is a pure shooter, but Luke Kennard, if he don't have a ball, then what use is he really?
Yeah.
And Grizzlies picked that up, so good luck with that. But I just think that I like Bones Highland. I can say this, and I need a moment of silence because that Reggie Jackson trade
I know.
sent me. I said, now if you going okay, John Wall anticlimactic. You came in, we was like, well, John, we about to re-energize. And flop, fail, didn't work. I am really sad about Reggie Jackson leaving. However, I do understand he needed to move on. He was probably over it anyway. You can tell in the way he played. Matter of fact, if he even got minutes on the floor, it was just time for him to leave. So with Bones Highland coming in, it's making the
Mm-hmm.
roster younger. And I do appreciate that because if you think about old Bones and Kawhi Leonard and, Paul George, who are their franchise front runners, I just think that Bones and with Terrence Mann, I mean, I'm not a fan of him being a starter, but, hey, we'll see how it continues to go. But I do like the Bones Highland pickup. I think it was really good. While we're still talking about the Clippers, I'm glad that they actually got a backup for Zubac. Now I've been screaming about this even before the season began that Zubac he's going to need a backup, and they went ahead and they got Mason Plumlee, and I am okay with that. Again, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever that needs. But if you think about Zubac, are you going to have him rested and ready for what the end of the season looks like and for what the postseason looks like? And I know that the Clippers have to say, okay, wait a minute. Now we like to go small ball. However, when we're talking about teams like the Nuggets that got Joker, we're talking about teams like the Kings that got Sabonis. Who else is going to help support that? So yeah, I do understand why they needed to get a backup. Been screaming about one for all season, and I'm finally glad that they actually picked someone that can be versatile
Mm-hmm.
because that's what he is. He's a two-way. Mason Plumlee is nice. He'll give the Clippers exactly what they need when he comes into the game. So yeah, I'm glad about Mason Plumlee, and I was happy that they made that move to help relieve some of Zubac's pressure.
Yes, yes, they definitely needed that big body. Speaking of another big body, I like Jay Crowder to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Jay has sat out all season, as we know. He should be fresh legs, ready to rock and roll. Milwaukee Bucks are on an incredible winning streak right now. I think he fits into their culture. He's like PJ Tucker 2.0, but with more of an offensive game.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
could spot up and shoot the three. He could play that tough
Mhm.
defense right along with Drew Holiday. You talking about Giannis, Grayson Allen. I think Bobby Portis as well fits that type of cloth. Jay Crowder is a perfect pickup for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I agree. One thing that I did not see, I'm sorry, they did make a move, but it wasn't the big bang move that I was anticipating. The
Oh,
Toronto Raptors.
oh goodness.
You mean to tell me all y'all could get was Jakob Poeltl? Really?
I was disappointed.
So clearly, this lets me know that Simon Jury and Nick Nurse said, y'all, see us next season. What they're probably anticipating is the move they're going to make in the offseason. Let's just be honest, because they could have done it now and they didn't. They didn't. Now, they
Yeah.
may have needed, Poeltl to come in and do whatever he's going to do. But to get y'all to make a move to really add uh, playoff value right now to get y'all up into at least a playing tournament and even in the playoffs? Nah,
Nah.
wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And it's so funny because if you think about it, the Toronto Raptors will have about 3 free agents after the season. I think they're just getting themselves ready for what next season looks like because this season cannot be a drive for the playoff, a drive for a deep run in the playoffs when this is the only midseason trade they
Yeah.
made. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
disappointing to me. I was anticipating a big bang and it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Oh my God. Poto, it's just like, the other players that they have. He's big and long and he just, stretch the floor. They just needed some versatility and they didn't do it. So,
You know what? What's funny about this midseason trade deadline, although that it is over, that buyout market is going to be something else to watch because I believe teams have until March 1st to make their buyout decisions. And some of these teams have to because they're short on their rosters. So really what we're looking at right now, although these trades may have happened and some of the teams may be, complete, the buyout market may actually do another shift in what the standings look like if these teams acquire some of the pieces that they're missing from the buyout market. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that next step is that can continue to change the trajectory of how the conferences look after March 1st. So we'll see.
yeah, we'll be really close to the playoffs at that point, too.
Yes.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness. Okay. I think the biggest splash in the midseason trade deadline was definitely Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns. I mean,
Yeah.
I did not think he would make that move.
I didn't either. And what's so cool about this movie was that it was so quiet. It was like,
Like a thief
were
in the
they
night,
like
huh?
in a dungeon somewhere? Just,
Yeah.
they was over there doing secret codes between the Nets and the Suns because it wasn't no inkling, nothing until it happened. And I said, if y'all gonna do something, that's how you do it. That's how you give the shock value. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
knows, and then you
Mm-hmm.
wake up and all of a sudden KD is going to the Suns. Well, y'all just denied him a trade earlier in the season.
Yes.
I was
I
like,
know.
but Western Conference, that move shifted things for me. Right. Think about it. The Suns are already nice anyway. They've already made it to the NBA Finals with the core that they have, minus Michael Bridges, of course, which I was a little sad about, but
Yeah.
whatever, that's fine. But you gonna move mountains and get KD on your roster. Who wouldn't, right? But I was just not ready for it. However, it shook up the Western Conference for me. I said, oh, wait a minute now. These top teams, y'all may be looking good now. I was reading an article where it had the Phoenix Suns number 2 at the end of the season. Number 2, Nuggets 1, Suns 2, and I think it said Grizzlies number 3. I said, okay, I can see that. Because really at the end of the day, I think that the Western Conference teams need to find out where we want to stand because we don't want to go up against these teams in round
Right.
1. In round 1. So I think it'll be more strategically placed and they'll place themselves in a way where they'll pair up better with a team so they can at least make it past round 1 because the Suns with KD on the roster, if they don't do it this season, then it's a bust and that's going to be sad.
When you think about the Phoenix Suns after this move, I mean, the starting five is, pretty solid, but the problem is going to be their depth. I'm looking at Campaign, Landry Shaman, and Darius Baisley, right? All of them I think they're out right now with injuries, but once they get back, but who else, once the starting five sit down, who else is going to carry the torch until they're able to get back?
They sent that one away. Michael Bridges, he was the one.
See,
They sent him away. And then Cam Johnson. They
yeah,
both gone. So,
I know. That's going to be the problem. But I do like Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn. They looked fantastic against the Philadelphia 76ers in a loss. But, happy to see that they appear to be happy where they are. So,
yeah, I mean, another one that's been talked about on all sports channels. If you didn't hear about this trade, you've been under a rock, and that's the one that Kyrie to the Mavs. So yeah, great move. It's what they needed. It's probably what the Mavs realized when they let Jalen Brunson, trade him to the Knicks. They realized they needed somebody to be help support the team when Luka sits down, and so Kyrie shifted the needle a bit. Luka is gonna be Luka though, so it's still his team. And actually, I was still riding for the Mavs because of Luka. Luka is Luka, right? But adding Kyrie to the roster, watching them play for they played together once. I want to say recently that I watched. They were up against the Kings in their second matchup. I was like, okay, they got it. Okay, I think it's gonna work. But the Kings light the beam.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take some adjustment. What I do see is that Kyrie understands that this team is Luka's team, and I'm going to defer to Luka. That's what I see right now. But Kyrie, you never know. So you just never know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Another big one is the Lakers acquiring D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt. I really like that pickup. But it just seems like now Anthony Davis is deferring to the new guys. But you need Anthony Davis to be more of a dominant force. And we haven't seen LeBron on the court with the new guys yet.
Right,
So,
right.
it looks good right now. They did win a game recently, but I'm still up in the air on the Lakers.